Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Hello and welcome to New Life Live. I'm your host, Brian Perez, and in the studio today, we've got licensed marriage and family therapist Chris Williams. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Brian?
I'm doing wonderful.
Good.
Also, clinical psychologist Dr. Jill Hubbard. How are you, Jill?
Hi, guys. I'm good.
Good. What's on your mind today?
Well, I was thinking that, I'm kind of a current events gal at times. And so while at work, I tend to focus people internally and what's going on inside of them and how that impacts their world. Also interested in what goes on the outside of us because it does really impact us. So most people know that there's been a lot going on in California in the last week and a half or so. And so this idea of displacement or being displaced has come to mind. And a lot of times in psychological terms, we look at displacement as like, you had a fight with your boss at work and you come home and kick the dog, right? But there's also this idea, and we're hearing this a lot, of being displaced when there is a natural disaster, when there's war, when there's persecution, when there's natural disasters. And we are seeing this on a huge scale. So obviously it's hitting close to home here in California with the wildfires. And, just hearing all of the stories and people, daily checking the maps for when they're going to be evacuated. And when something's in the news cycle, I think it tugs on our hearts. And we all jump into action and we want to help. And people are rescuing animals and taking people into their homes and gathering supplies. But I think it's important to also think about the longer term effects. Now, as we rally together and you get, through the shock of it, there's usually, for the majority of people, a resiliency, a rebuilding, a gathering together, and a moving on. But for many, it stirs up mental health issues that they never had.
Absolutely.
It stirs up PTSD, right? Well, the rest of us move on. Like I think of the East Coast and the flooding and the disaster and the people losing homes. They're still in that.
Yes.
Well, we're now focused on the fires in California.
Yes.
Right? Their life is not the same. And so I think and people a lot of times too, we are vicariously affected when you know someone. And right now I know somebody knows someone who has lost a home. Everybody knows someone now. And so when it hits closer to home, I'm reminded of the fact that we need, there are ways to be sensitive to people, to be there for them. But remember that when you're home and comfortable, it hasn't stopped for these other people. And there may be irritability out there. There may be, people that go into depression and deep grief over the loss and losses of identity and what they organized around.
Well, and I think one of the things that we can experience, I experienced that this past week, is that the enormity of the disaster, the enormity of just the heartbreak and the pain becomes so overwhelming that you don't know where to start. The need is so huge that, like, Can I open up a spare bedroom? Can what do I do and where do I start? And I think it's just really important that we don't allow the overwhelm to lead to inaction.
Yes. Yeah.
That we may use some wisdom and some time, but we want to see who is out there doing really, really effective work.
And how can we come alongside
of them?
And support.
Yeah. It doesn't, and it could be financial. It could be other different ways in which we can do that. And one quick thing I'll say, if you're donating something, make sure it's nice. Don't donate junk. That's the one thing I want to say to people. Yeah.
Yep.
Good advice there. Okay, so we're going to get right to the phones when we come back here on New Life Live. James, Bryce, everyone else that wants to talk to Dr. Jill Hubbard and Chris Williams, now is your chance. We're going to be back in just a little bit. Plus, I'll tell you about some tip sheets that you can order from New Life Live as well.
New Life Ministries saved my completely broken marriage.
No matter how much hurt you've had to face, no marriage is beyond hope. At New Life Ministries Intimacy and Marriage Weekend, licensed counselors will help you rebuild communication skills and renew your commitment to each other.
You're building authentic intimacy, and you're learning how to connect on an emotional and relational level. You're learning how to listen. You're learning how to identify those core patterns that get in the way of good relationship.
The Intimacy and Marriage Weekend is February 14th to the 16th in Orange County, California. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
3.5 years later, we're still going strong. I would encourage anybody who's struggling in their marriage to go. They are more effective than anything else we tried.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Thank you so much for listening and for watching as well. By the way, if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you click that like button, and it does something to the algorithm. I don't know exactly how it all works, but it works. It lets us know, first of all, that you liked our video. But when the algorithms take over, it kind of pushes out the video to other people that might be interested in the topics that we discuss. So you can do that. Simple way to do it. Just click that like button or the thumbs up or the bell or whatever it is. I don't even know. Okay, to the phones we go. Here is James in Arlington, Texas, listening on KWRD. Hello, James. Thank you for calling in today.
Well, thank you. There's a lot of good questions. I have a question concerning a 19-year-old son, really, and it's bleeding over into the 17-year-old. They are late in life children for me. I have some in their 40s, and then I've got these two that are 19 and 17. And the 19-year-old, he is becoming just aggressive. Now, not physically, but aggressive with his mother. He's going to college. He's studying psychology, and he's doing really, really well. But he's just becoming real hateful in his speech. I had to tell him today, that's not. See, we don't do that kind of stuff, not here. You can go move in your own apartment somewhere, and you can talk to all your neighbors that way if you want to, but not here. We don't do that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to, I want to slap him or grab him. The older boys and girls would have never even thought about that, but I was in my 30s and raising them. And, and I was in I retired military, so it just wouldn't have stood very well with me. But, they're just, both of them are so intelligent, honor society, all kinds. They make good grades. I don't have any complaints. Their rooms are dirty, but they're teenagers. Mm-hmm. I try to explain that to my wife. Don't argue with them about what's important. That's superfluous stuff right there. That's something we don't have to deal with unless there's an odor. But I don't know how to. Roger, that's right. But I don't know. He was ugly with her. And I told him, I said, boy, you need to learn to pick your dadgum argument, son. You don't need to be arguing with your mama about that, and your dadgum sure don't need to say what you said to her, because that stuff ain't going to stand here. You're going to find yourself in another environment, and you're going to realize what this environment offered you and what that environment don't. If you don't learn to keep your mouth shut. I said, I say yes, dear, yes, love, you're right a lot, and y'all know that.
So James, just to jump in, I love your intervention with your son, and that you're showing him what it means to be a man. And so I think that's great. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, though, I'd like you to take it a step further. So he's doing this, you're observing this. So take him out somewhere away from home, and get a bite to eat or something, and have a talk about, okay, son, I've been telling you we don't do this at home, but I want to know what's going on inside of you that's causing this anger and resentment towards your mother. Like, I want to hear about your heart now. Like in the moment, I'm correcting your behavior, but I also care about your heart and what's motivating this and how you're feeling. Can we talk about that? And
we did that.
Did you? Awesome. Okay.
And what did your son say?
Well, my wife, God bless that woman, but she complains a lot and harps about everything, and I can't stop her. It's just, it's how she is. And she comes. She's an Israeli woman, and they are different than American women in their approach, and she's very aggressive when she deals with them. There isn't a kind. She doesn't approach things in a kind manner. I mean, they grow up in a really rough environment.
So James, let me jump in with that because this is really good. That's a great picture that you're painting for us because it's coming clear. You're coming from a military background where compliance is an expectation, allegiance is assumed, right? So, and the compliance is on the behavioral side. She's coming at things where if you want to get things done, go big. But you have a huge problem in the family. You know what it is? And it's not your son's. It's the family's problem. The family's problem is aggression is breaking down connection, not building it up. Because the way that you've learned to communicate is actually causing hurt, not correcting behavior. I mean, you might get compliance, but you'll never get allegiance there. And so I would recommend that you guys go into some family counseling because one of the things, and this is really, really tricky for me to say this, but when you're defending your wife and her aggressive behavior, you're defending the problem. Because then your sons are going like, well, why does she could be aggressive and we can't? So there's a hypocrisy in the communication, and it's the communication patterns themselves that need corrected.
God told me that, and I mentioned that to them, and they said, listen, why did she get shit? They asked me the same question you both of them did.
Yeah.
Same question just last week. And I said, listen, she's the mother. And see, the difference here is you don't get to correct her. I don't correct her, and you don't neither. Because now
but you're also excusing her behavior, and I think there needs to be some adjustment there. It sounds like your son is like her; they're similar, so they butt heads a lot. But and a lot of times, so maybe this is her aggressive personality, but also I do know there's a thing with women where we try to criticize into health. We try to fix things by pointing out everything that's wrong so that we then feel okay. And that doesn't really work. And I think your son is the 19-year-old's getting old enough where he's tired of that. And so I think it sounds like you don't want to cross your wife, but I think there does need to be a talk with her about the aggressiveness that she may be fueling his fire.
Well, and that's where this anger and aggressiveness really breaks down, because it also can blind us to the humility that we need to hear the feedback. And that's why I'd recommend, James, you getting in with a really good family therapist. That the four of you, include the 17-year-old, get in the room and let's talk about what it's like to live within the family. Yeah. And what's working, what's not working, and how do we make those corrections.
But how do you even start that conversation with, James says his wife is aggressive and she complains about everything. How do you start with, hey, wife, you're aggressive and you complain about everything, in a way that's not going to cause her to be aggressive and complaining that you're complaining about her aggressiveness?
That's $1 million.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's $1 million question.
When you come at me and you're complaining about something, I'm wondering what's underneath that, what you're feeling. Yeah. Have you felt like I haven't appreciated you? Have you felt like we're not seeing all that you do? Help me understand. Are you feeling hurt in some way? See if you can get to some other feelings, because obviously aggression is her easiest feeling.
Well, and I think there's a way also to make it an us problem and not a you problem. Yeah. And what I like to say in there is that there is something not working here. We're all a part of it. But instead of saying you're a bad parent or you're a bad child or you can't do that, no, there's something in the family that isn't working and we're not figuring it out. We need help.
Yeah.
because we don't want this to continue.
What do you think, James?
No, that's an outstanding idea. I have mentioned that, and they balk at going. I have a counselor I go to for some of the military issues, but she has suggested, so I talked to them, and they said, I don't want to do that, and I can't make the night take care of. And that's why I told him the other day, I said, look, son, here's the deal. You can go fund your own apartment, and you can talk to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to live at home.
Right.
And this is part of living at home, is we're going to work on ourselves. We're going to grow emotionally be better people.
What resource that we offer do you think we can send to James there in Arlington, Texas? Do you think How We Love might be a good one? Or
I think How We Love.
Okay.
Yeah, I think How We Love, because they need to figure out what their communication and relational patterns are, what we call their attachment styles. I think that would go a long way to helping them talk to each other.
Okay, James, we'll send you a copy of that book. It's also available for purchase on the New Life store at newlife.com. Bryce in Chamberlain, South Dakota, listening or watching on Amazon. Hello. Thank you for calling in today, Bryce.
Yes, thank you for taking the call. I listened to your show a little bit and thought today would be a good time to try to ring in. And so thanks for accepting my call. So, yes, I'm married, been married for 27 years, and, long history with my deployments from the military and different challenges I've taken in my life. My wife always, carried on with the kids. But just with her stress, I know that she says some things and said that I just cannot get past, and I cannot find even forgiveness for it, and it's affected the whole family, and I'm sure the kids can see. But just, she said some things to me, go to hell in front of my kids. And I know she was stressed, and I know she says things when she's stressed. And I was a religious person, and that hurt, and it still hurts today. And I'm having a hard time still. It's been probably 13 years that she said this, and my kids. Have grown up in that 13 years, and they've seen this. It's hard for me to.
Is it a pattern? Is it a pattern that she has with you? Does this keep happening over and over and over again?
Or she said it one time, or 13 years ago.
She said that one phrase once.
Okay.
But other times, she just yells things, and she, curses me, and in front of the kids, and I just pretty much belittles me. But we need each other for the kids and for the family, I feel. And so when it's weird when the kids are not around and we're just together alone, the stress level's lower and we can get along like great. Just perfect. But just that stress with the kids and my difference of how I was raised and how I want to raise my kids and how she wants to raise the kids, I've been pretty much backing away and letting her do it. But it's hurtful to see that the kids are now, leaning toward that, and knowing that, she said that phrase how many years ago when the kids were right there, and I know they heard it, and one other argument.
Bryce, I'm wondering what that phrase means to you, because it seems like it was an arrow just piercing your heart. You've never forgotten it. Versus, okay, it's just one of her rants.
Even when we were engaged, I thought I was playing games, and she flipped me off, and that hurt. So we married, and I thought that stuff was all in the past. But thinking, man, when she says that in front of the kids, and she's not as religious as me, different denomination.
Yeah.
So it's.
Well, Bryce, I think there's a couple of things. I think one of the things that we have a hard time, some of us males like myself who tend to carry a higher sensitivity, especially to people's words, is I have a hard time admitting that I'm sensitive. But I'm sensitive.
And you just admitted it to everybody
Yeah.
listening and watching.
Yeah. You know, that there's phrases or words or even looks that can hurt me. And you'll ask my mom. I came out of the womb a sensitive kid, hence probably why I'm a therapist. So there are strengths and some liabilities with that. And your wife struggles with anger.
Yeah.
There is unresolved
Quick
things.
flashes.
Yes, unresolved things inside of her. And that creates this toxic environment and this really hurtful pattern that you guys are in. And I think you backing away actually doesn't help. It helps protect you in the moment, but it's certainly not helping your kids. We're going to be heading to a break here soon. And Bryce, I want to address just a little bit more about this when we come back, but I just want you to know that accepting those realities is the starting point.
Yeah, stay on the line, Bryce. We're just going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with you. Anne-Marie and everybody else who wants to ask a question today, we'll get to you as well here on New Life Live. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. And make sure you download the New Life app. There is so much to do on that New Life app. So much to do, so much to learn. newlife.com.
Here at New Life, we want you to have transformation. And so we have created the New Life courses, and we are going to launch them in January. And you meet weekly on Zoom with a coach or counselor. You're going to have teaching as well as that group connection, because we know how powerful that is. We hear that all the time about our intensives, that they love the information, but the group process is so powerful. And many of you have been hesitant to participate because you're not sure, the timing, the price. New Life courses are going to meet you right at that area of need. We are going to provide a grief recovery course, and that's 12 weeks, and also Lose It for Life. Every week you're meeting on Zoom with that therapist. You're going over the concepts as well as connecting as a group. It is so powerful, and it's accessible. Wherever you are, you're going to be able to join us.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
I'm Brian Perez here with Dr. Jill Hubbard, who is a clinical psychologist, and Chris Williams, a licensed marriage and family therapist. And we've got Bryce on the telephone. Bryce, are you still there?
Still here. Thanks for holding me.
Great. So, Chris, you wanted to say something else to Bryce?
Yeah, Bryce, you're just in a tough situation because you and your wife have established a way of communication from the beginning that's 27 years old. So these things are really, really hard to break. But there's part of it of admitting that you're sensitive, but let's also be very clear that verbally abusive and damaging words and language is unacceptable. And we need kind of like a really hard line. What I want to tell you is hard stop. I don't care what the reasoning is behind it. And there could be really good reasoning behind it. But saying mean and cruel things to another person, there is no justification for it.
Yeah, understood.
Okay.
Right. And back when she flipped you off when you were engaged, that's when the conversation should have started. But it's, you're here today, so you need to start today and letting her know and asking her what's going on for her. Because, we were talking at the break. When she goes into fight or flight, she fights. So when it seems like it's hard for her to juggle all with the kids, and that's overwhelming for her. So she goes into hyperarousal and she starts punching. And that's how she deals with it. Whereas you are probably more apt to shut down. Mm-hmm. And so this is.
I mean, a lot of times in the argument, I mean, when she fires up, I mean, I can tell when she fires up, so I step back. Mm-hmm. But anything I do is just like adding salt to the fire. And she brings up everything from the kids, from her mom, from things that had that happened how many years ago. And I mean, it just spirals. It keeps
all
going,
of her grievances, come out.
Yeah, and so the constant revitalizing of any anger that was felt in the past, it comes back every argument.
And so when you shut down, like Chris said, and kind of get small, nothing gets resolved. So it just eventually calms down until it cycles back up again and gets triggered.
That is correct. And I don't want to fight back because why? The kids are there. And then that's just going to create more and more. And I mean, I can control what I say, but yeah.
Okay, so sometimes, Bryce, I agree with you. You don't want to have a big knockout drag out in front of the kids. But to say, okay, I'm going to, take a time out here. And then we're going to come back and reconvene and talk away from the kids. And so to take a little more charge of the situation. So you go walk around the block, go to the restroom, whatever. Take a short break. But have a time where you're going to come back and you guys talk about it. Because this is a destructive pattern that's been going on far too long. Yeah. And the timeout will also help her to kind of recalibrate as well.
Yes. And to that point, Jill, is that we have these silent crises. Mm-hmm. This is one of those. And I think it's important to call it out for what it is. There is a crisis in your relationship because this amount of hurt and that amount of anger is not going to be conducive to closeness. And you guys would be first on the list that I would want invited and to take the invitation and whatever resources you need to get there to the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop coming up here in February. Because there's a pattern that you guys have established that needs to be broken.
Yeah, you can get all the details about intimacy and marriage happening February 14th, Valentine's Day weekend at newlife.com. And do you think Bryce would benefit from the Boundaries book?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I think that Boundaries in Marriage would be a great place to start for him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Bryce, stay on the line and we will send you a copy of that book. Speaking of the Intimacy and Marriage weekend coming up February 14th, less than a month away, this really can turn things around for your married life. Here's what one attendee said. I knew that we had to change. I was completely shut down and lost hope for our marriage. Our patterns owned us, and we could not break the cycle. This weekend has been redeeming. I have hope. We have a vision and purpose for our marriage that we never had before. We have a better understanding of each other. And now, with God's help, we can overcome the issues that plagued our marriage and personal growth. So find out more at newlife.com. The Intimacy and Marriage Weekend happening in Orange County, California. It's great for engaged couples as well. And the early bird rate ends in just a couple of weeks, January 31st. Register at newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Anne-Marie in Florida, we're about to go to our break, but we'll hold you over to talk to you in the next segment as well. But at least get your question out. Thank you so much for calling in today.
Okay.
What's going on with you? Thanks for downloading the New Life app and for listening that way.
Oh, great. So I met this gentleman. I moved to Florida 3 years ago. I met this wonderful gentleman. He's 40. I'm 43. I have 2 kids. When I moved, I was separated from a marriage that I was into almost 22 years. So we've been getting to know each other. Right now, I'm a year divorced, and we're still getting to know each other, but it's 3 years, and I don't know if I should hang in there and wait, be patient, or I don't know what to do.
All right, Anne-Marie, so we're going to ask you to hang in and wait and be patient for a couple of minutes because we've got to take a break now, and then we will hear what Dr. Jill Hubbard and Chris Williams have to say about your situation there. dating this guy for a few years now and wondering, should she continue to pursue him? Maybe he's kind of hesitant to move forward. So we'll see what Jill and Chris have to say about this in just a little bit here on New Life Live. Thank you so much for listening and for watching and for downloading the New Life app like Anne-Marie did.
New Life Ministries saved my completely broken marriage.
No matter how much hurt you've had to face, no marriage is beyond hope. At New Life Ministries Intimacy and Marriage Weekend, licensed counselors will help you rebuild communication skills and renew your commitment to each other.
You're building authentic intimacy, and you're learning how to connect on an emotional and relational level. You're learning how to listen. You're learning how to identify those core patterns that get in the way of good relationship.
The Intimacy and Marriage Weekend is February 14th to the 16th in Orange County, California. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
3.5 years later, we're still going strong. I would encourage anybody who's struggling in their marriage to go. They are more effective than anything else we tried.
Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because, you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. I'm your host, Brian Perez, here with clinical psychologist Dr. Jill Hubbard and licensed marriage and family therapist Chris Williams. And we've been talking to Anne-Marie in Altamont Springs, Florida, who's listening on the New Life app. Are you there, Anne-Marie?
Hi, thank you.
So during the break, we were talking here in the studio, and obviously you only spoke to us for about a minute before we had to go to break, so we don't know everything going on. So what kind of questions might you have?
I have one question. First of all, Anne-Marie, what is the nature of your relationship with this guy? So you were separated. I mean, are you dating him? Are you exclusive? Tell us a little bit more.
That is a great question. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I moved 3 years ago, and we've been getting to know each other. And once I got divorced, which is a year now, we're getting closer. I mean, we do everything a dating couple does, but he won't ask me to be his girlfriend. He's never had a girlfriend, never kissed a girl. He's 40. I have 2 children. And so we're together all the time, but he doesn't want to take that step. And he's not the type to just date just to date. He wants the person he dates, he wants to be that person he walks down the aisle with.
Mm-hmm.
So, 40 years old, never had a girlfriend and never even kissed a girl.
Correct.
And do you know what that's about? Like, is he really shy? Does he have strong, kind of more rigid Christian conviction?
Oh, yeah, that's all there. I met him at the church.
Okay.
That I moved here. I went to a church. I met him there. Very Christian-based. His family is a wonderful family. They have 4 kids, raised all the kids in the church, in church schools. They never even had a television. So he's very shy, very Christian-based. Everything checks the boxes.
Okay. And have you had any conversations with him about? Are you just like waiting for him to like get the hint, or?
I bring it up.
Okay.
Too. Let's move to the next step. He beats around the bush, or he says he's feeling rushed, or he even went online to find out why he's fearful or why he is this way. And I know one thing he mentioned, why some people don't want to take the next step is because of loss of independence. But I'm not sure why he doesn't want to move to the next step. If you guys have any advice for him.
Well, oftentimes when we grow up in what I will refer to as rigid environments, where compliance to rules means that we're safe, that we're okay, that we can be in relationship. And to break a rule or to be out of compliance means that we're not safe and we can't be in relationship. And so I think he's right. You said the word that he said that I think is really the key to unlock fear. Because the technical word here is he's love avoidant. And love avoidance is driven by fear, and you have to understand what is that fear about.
Well, and if he was encapsulated in his family, where the family basically met all of the needs, to go outside of the family could feel like breaking a rule.
There's another aspect of that, and that is where the family need is much bigger than the child need. So he may be disconnected to his own needs and desires. So there's a lot of work that's very typical of a love avoidant person, is that they're not in touch with what they want. And they're waiting for they're waiting for the other person to decide for them, because that's how they've operated most of their life.
Well, and Anne-Marie, is any of the other kids in the family married?
Just one, the youngest sister.
Okay.
There's a older sister, then he's second, then the sister that's married, and then a younger brother. All of them have dated. He's the only one that hasn't.
Okay. And one has gotten married. And so, I'm just curious about the course of that, how long that went. And it is interesting that out of 4, only one has really ventured out. And do you see all of his siblings, or the ones that aren't married, kind of in this pattern of not wanting to move forward?
No, I believe he's the only one.
You believe he's the only one. Okay.
So we have this picture that, and please hear me say this is not said from a place of judgment, but hopefully pure understanding, is that it sounds like he's carrying a tremendous amount of insecurity, especially around that is driven by fear and shame. So he can't be close, because if you get close, you're going to figure out about him what he fears most about himself. I don't know if that makes sense, but let me put that in a practical thing. Let's say that he believes that he's not good enough, that there's some sort of deficiency in him, and that thing is going to disqualify him from relationship.
That's interesting, because his younger brother, talks to me about that, and he said they all have degrees, not to put him down, but they all have degrees, and maybe he feels like he doesn't have that degree, or he's in
that he's a less than person.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay. We know for a fact he's not a less than person. Everyone else, but he inside of him believes that. And Anne-Marie, here's a difficult thing. You can't do anything about that. That's his work that he needs to do. You can invite him into it, but if you wait on him, you're going to be waiting a really long time.
Wow.
This is slow, like beyond slow. Like this could be someone that never marries.
Unless he starts addressing that shame that he's carrying inside of him. And those fears.
Could it be something too, and who am I to ask this question? But let me ask it anyway. And I'm not meaning to judge Anne-Marie either, just like you said. But could it be, here's this guy, 40 years old, never been married, never even kissed a girl, never had a girlfriend, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. But he meets Anne-Marie, wonderful woman, Christian woman. She's divorced, and she's got kids, so maybe he's thinking, well, wait a minute. It's like he's looking for a 40-ish-year-old woman who's just like him, who's never been married, and so of course his options are getting smaller and smaller. And maybe he sees Anne-Marie as, no, I was looking for somebody who's just as pure as me, or I don't know.
It could be that.
It could be.
Okay.
It could be.
It could be, but that's not any healthier.
Mm-hmm.
Because he'll never find her because she's just as scared of him as he is of her.
Right.
They'll never find each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do I just continue being a good friend?
I would encourage you to have an honest conversation with about your feelings and where he's at. I know that sounds super risky because that could invite hurt in you, like if he doesn't reciprocate.
Well, and
right?
it could, cause him to move away from you.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you just are going to have to be content being his friend. And is this where the relationship is at now? Is this where you are okay with it staying?
I am content. I mean, I love being with him. I love being around him. We're together all the time. And he is becoming affectionate, and we talk, and I could see a future with him. But he won't take that next step to ask me to be his girlfriend. And if I mention it, he kind of beats around the bush or runs away. And I discovered that his mom gave his dad an ultimatum way back in the day. So I don't know if it's similar to...
You might talk to his mom.
What was the ultimatum, I wonder?
To date me or I'm moving back. It was in college, and they were in the same area.
Yeah.
Okay.
He ended up, and then they got married and had 4 kids, and they're still together till this day.
Okay. Well, and I think maybe you have a series of conversations, and that you seem to know that eventually he would like to be serious with someone, he's saying, correct?
I hope so.
Oh, okay, you're not sure about that. So I think you need to let him know that, all the things that you love about him and that your interest is in a long-term future. And if that is not his interest, that he needs to care about you enough to let you go.
Well, and to that point, love avoidance is also an avoidance of reality. So he's doing everything a boyfriend does, but doesn't want the title.
Right.
Here's the irony.
Exactly. That's it.
Just let him know, hey, here's the description of what it means to be a boyfriend. And so you have already fulfilled the role.
Right. So I'm confused
So I'm confused.
Yeah.
Why do you not like the title?
And then I asked him, I said, do you see a future with me? Because if not, then I need to go and be...
absolutely.
He said it's hard for him to see a future without me. So now, what do I do with that?
Oh, that's such a love-avoiding question.
I know,
oh, my gosh.
I know. But that's good. He's moving a little inch closer.
Yeah.
Right? And I think, you also have to have in your mind, how long are you willing to wait for him to grow?
Yeah.
But you don't think she should just ask him to be her boyfriend? Is that not?
It could.
Well, you could name it like you were saying, Chris, and say, I'm seeing you in this role.
Yeah. Yeah.
You may not see yourself in this role, but that's how I'm seeing you.
We'll be back on New Life Live.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Thank you so much for listening and for watching today. And we were talking to Anne-Marie in Florida. Her situation is that she's been kind of dating this guy who doesn't want to be called her boyfriend. But on the surface, it sounds like they're boyfriend, girlfriend, but they're not. So what else did we want to...
But he's afraid to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And yet what we've surmised, Anne-Marie, is that he is doing all of the things. He just hasn't told himself that yet.
Yes.
Right? He's doing it without acknowledging it. And so for you to name it, again, like I was saying before the break, this is how I see you. And so I know you're fearful and scared, but are you aware that you're actually doing everything that I would think a boyfriend would do? So we're actually in this relationship regardless of what you call it.
Yeah.
And how does that feel to you?
Oh, I think that's really good. Yeah, confront it for what it is.
Yeah.
Call it out.
I'm not going to pretend we're not in this dating relationship anymore.
Invulnerability is so tricky. It's weird. It's just flat out weird. You know what makes it weird is all of the gymnastics we go through to convince ourselves reality isn't reality. And I sympathize with her boyfriend because I tend to be love avoidant. It was my wife when we were dating, before we were dating, right? And she had to have hey, let's define the relationship here. She says, are there other girls in your life that you are holding hands with at the movies? Right? I'm like, no. She's like, then this isn't a friendship. And that confrontation of reality and what it was inside of me was a fear of calling it out for what it is.
So then you had to wrestle with it.
I had to wrestle with it.
Because you can't unring the bell.
Yes. And ask myself, what am I doing here? What's the impact on the other person? Is this something that I want?
Yes.
And so really the invulnerability is ultimately avoidance of ourselves. And I love to have this line first with myself and then with other people. Friends, reality is undefeated. We might as well make it our friend. No matter how difficult it is. What's really going on inside of me? What's really going on inside of you? And can we then move into conversations about it? And I would love for him to go to you, Anne-Marie, and be like, here's really what I'm afraid of. Here's what I'm really confused about. Here's what I don't know what to do with it. And then, okay, I know this great resource called New Life Ministries that has a ton of resources to help you figure that out.
Yeah, because it could be intimidating, like you were saying, Brian, because she's been married, she's had kids. Heck, she's had sex, right? She's got kids to prove it, right? And he is so unexperienced. So that could be very intimidating.
Very intimidating. Yeah. And I'd love for him to talk about that. Yeah, this overwhelms me, or this intimidates me, or I'm not sure I'm ready to be a step-parent. All of those typical things. I'm like, yes, great, have those conversations.
Great advice for Anne-Marie. We hope all this helps. And let me just clarify something. When I said just before the break that maybe she should take the step and ask him, will you be my boyfriend? The only reason I was bringing that up is because we kind of live in this day and age nowadays where it's more acceptable, and maybe Anne-Marie just doesn't want that. And I'm not saying it's a good thing. I consider myself an old-fashioned guy.
Yeah.
If one of my daughters asked her guy friend, would you be my boy? I'd be like, no, he should be making the first step. So I totally get that. But
well,
so
I don't know that she has to ask him to be it. I think we're just.
But if she calls it out,
she calls it out and
I
says,
love that.
This is how I'm seeing us.
Yeah.
So she's just naming it.
Do you hold hands with any other girls at the movie theater?
Love that.
I think that's a great question for you.
Yeah. Well, like, hey, here's all of these behaviors that are showing that the position is filled, but you're not holding the title, but you're refusing the title.
Yeah.
But the title is just the title.
And what is the title to you?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, does that mean you think we're getting married tomorrow? Or
we're figuring this out step by step, and we're both scared, and we both don't know what we're doing because it's a new thing, and we're going to figure it out as we go.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a resource we can send to Anne-Marie?
What was the
we were saying
the date.
Either Finding Mr. Right or How to Get a Date Worth Keeping.
Yes, How to Get a Date Worth Keeping.
Let's do How to Get a Date Worth Keeping,
yeah.
because it has you, even though you have a date here, it allows you to reflect on yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, Anne-Marie, we're going to send that out to you, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for listening and calling in with your questions. Sometimes people call in with their questions. Maybe they're a little afraid to call and talk to total strangers about what's going on. But at the same time, you see the beauty in that because, well, you know what I mean. To our longtime listeners.
We may be strange, but we're not strangers.
No, what I mean is maybe for people who can't open up at church or to their friends or something, like calling somebody who doesn't know them.
And Brian, it's such an act of service because we think what we're dealing with is unique to us. And it's not. It's unique to the human condition.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so when you call in with an issue, you're not just helping you. You're helping everyone else who's in a similar situation. And I hear that over and over and over again. So we want to encourage you. Take that 20 seconds of courage to give us a call because we'd love to hang out and talk with you.
Yep. Take that deep breath, and then as soon as we answer the phone, breathe out and ask us your questions. So, Anne-Marie, thank you so much for calling in today here on New Life Live. A couple of other things I wanted to mention at the beginning of the program. Dr. Jill Hubbard was talking about displacement, and I did mention that we have a couple of tip sheets available, and you can get those by calling us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Great topic that we opened up the program with. If you missed it, you can hear it again. We archive all of our episodes online. You can subscribe to the New Life podcast wherever you get your podcasts. But the two tip sheets that we are offering, do you have them there in front of you?
10 tips when disaster strikes and 10 ways to help people in crisis.
Yeah, they're available at no cost. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I know our friends at KKLA in Southern California, there's employees there who have been affected by this. There's listeners, and we want to get these two resources out to you. They're tip sheets. Again, 10 ways to help people in crisis and 10 tips when disaster strikes. There's also a CD available on our website that you can purchase. It's called New Life Perspectives, How to Recover from Trauma or Tragedy. You can get that by calling us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE when you order the free tip sheets, or visit our online bookstore at newlife.com. And, we have helped so many people on today's program, and we want to continue to do that. And you can help us do that by becoming a Club New Life member. Your generosity allows us to provide help in all the things we do, not just the radio program, but the podcasts that we offer and the intensive workshops that we have, which we have many coming up. I'll get to that in just a little bit, but want to share this letter from a Club New Life member. I listen every day at work. When I heard J.J. West sharing about his comparison, it touched me so much that I teared up. His vulnerability had such an impact on me, and I could relate with some of the same thoughts. I know that was a Holy Spirit moment for me to hear that. Thank you, JJ and New Life, for literally changing my life and all of those around me for so many years now. I am a Club New Life member, and it's an honor to contribute to God's work in this way. So you're not just helping one person when you become a Club New Life member. I mean, you're helping that person's family and friends. And I mean, it could be like this generational thing that you can help out with by becoming a member of Club New Life. And we're hoping, or we've set kind of a goal to get 5 new Club New Life members every day. And you can do that right now. Just call us up at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or visit us at newlife.com. Newlife.com also has more information about our upcoming intensives, like the Intimacy and Marriage, February 14th in Orange County. The last day to sign up for the early bird rate is January 31st. Another Every Man's Battle intensive is happening in Orange County on February 28th, and the Restore intensive for women is happening in Dallas May 2nd through the 4th. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching New Life Live.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.